Good evening. A catastrophic wrong-way crash on the Mitchell Freeway has claimed 2 lives. It's the second deadly collision on the same stretch of road in just 4 months.
Shaken locals are now asking whether confusing or inadequate signage is killing innocent people. Jerry Damasi reports.
Another wrong turn, another fatal crash. How could this happen again?
I was shocked this morning when I woke up, but honestly that bang was awful.
Bang, bang, bang 3 times.
A 24-year-old man's life cut short when he drove on the wrong side of Mitchell Freeway in Butler last night, crashing head-on with 2 vehicles, also killing a 56-year-old woman. A stretch of road barely 2 years old, but already no stranger to tragedy. Just last October, 60-year-old car enthusiast Johnny Gray was killed after accidentally driving his pink Chevrolet the wrong way, crashing less than 3 kilometres away from last night's scene. 7 News can reveal both drivers entered from the same off-ramp, Romeo Road. What we don't yet know is why. There are 2 potential scenarios as to how it all went so wrong. Scenario 1, travelling east on Romeo Road. So as you can see, the sign says turn right for Mitchell Freeway, but locals say that's confusing because it's not the first right turn, it's actually the second. So the drivers potentially turned right too early onto the off-ramp, although there are several signs indicating no right turn. Scenario 2, travelling west on Romeo Road but turning too late. Locals say the area needs further safety measures.
It is definitely confusing. You need more signage there for sure.
It's going to happen again. Okay. Something going to happen again.
Main Roads says it's investigating, so is major crash, a tragic coincidence or a preventable pattern. Jerry Damasi, 7 News.
Cyclone Mitchell is still on the move tonight, but to the relief of many, is slowly running out of steam. This is its path of fury down the Pilbara and Gascoyne coast over the past few days. Karratha, Onslow and Exmouth were all battered, but spared the worst.
It's now about to make landfall near Carnarvon. Francesca Danuccio reports.
Locked down and lashed by wild weather, Exmouth braced for impact. Cyclone Mitchell kept everyone guessing, its path unpredictable. The tourist town in the firing line until it wasn't, spared at the last minute.
Being downgraded to a 2 before it hit was certainly we dodged a bullet with it.
Downgraded to a Category 2, chartering a different course, but Mitchell still made its mark. Packing wind gusts of up to 110 kilometres an hour, around the destructive eye 170 kilometres an hour. More than 50 millimetres of rain dumped on Exmouth. What reached here was just the outer edge of the system. A direct hit from Mitchell's core could have been catastrophic.
What did you think of Cyclone Mitchell?
It's just another cyclone, mate. We've been through a few, so yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was windy all night.
At its peak, more than 1,500 homes lost power.
We're lucky here, we have a generator, so I think a lot of town had no power, and the power cut out here about midday.
We've been in lockdown here in Exmouth for almost 20 hours, and this gives you a good idea as to why. Just outside our hotel room, strong winds have torn down trees, smashing into this fence and spilling out onto the footpath.
So it was windy, it still is windy, and it started to blow about 20 hours ago.
Flights have now resumed across the coastal towns. All major Pilbara ports have reopened too. While Mitchell's might fell short, its reach was wide.
Typically cyclones will impact a stretch of coast that may be a couple of 100 kilometres long. This one is impacting a stretch of coast that's in the thousands of kilometres.
Carnarvon now in its sights. Local growers hoping crops won't cop the strong winds.
This comes at a difficult time. We know that these severe winds can cause massive damage, and we certainly got our fingers crossed right now.
Well, as you can see, it's back to blue skies here in Exmouth. The system has well and truly passed us now, but Cyclone Mitchell is still on the move. Right now, it's just west of Carnarvon, but it's finally set to cross the coast as a Category 1 within the next hour or so. A watch and act alert remains in place from Coral Bay down to Denham, and as this system progresses, it will move further inland later tonight in an easterly direction. That's when it will develop into a tropical low, but the Bureau is warning it still has the potential to bring with it high rainfall and flash flooding in parts of the Gascoyne and Goldfields, and locals in those areas aren't in the clear just yet.
OK, Francesca, thank you. Let's bring in Sam Jolly now. Sam, will this cyclone have any impact on Perth?
It sure will, Ange, and we don't see this too often with cyclones in WA because they don't usually come too far south. But Mitchell has surprised us. It's travelling a large part of our coastline, and as it makes landfall and weakens to a tropical low, it is going to drag a big band of rain with it, as we can see, and we can expect showers in Perth tonight into tomorrow morning and afternoon. We could get anywhere from 5 to 25 millimetres of rain. We could also get thunderstorms in our northeast tomorrow. The rain from Cyclone Mitchell will cover a large chunk of our state, heading inland as the day wears on. We're also expecting a much cooler day in Perth tomorrow, but then it is straight back to warm and sunny weather. And I'll be back with a full forecast soon, Tim.
Thanks, Sam. To developing news, and violence has erupted at a protest against a visit by Israel's president.
Police and crowds are clashing in Sydney with officers using capsicum spray. Officers are working to break up the crowds, pushing people away from a police line.
Protests attracted thousands around the country today, including in Perth, where crowds are currently gathered peacefully in Forest Place. Isaac Herzog arrived in Sydney this morning, making his first stop at Bondi Beach to pay tribute to the victims of the December massacre.
The first event on his first day, a visit to Bondi, President Isaac Herzog's top priority.
His Excellency, President of the State of Israel.
Arriving with First Lady Mikhail Herzog, met by the Premier, then laying wreaths to honour the 15 lives lost at the December 14 massacre.
And I'm here to express solidarity, friendship and love.
The small ceremony attended by Jewish community leaders and a handful of victims and family members. The First Lady visibly moved as they heard their stories and offered support.
And how are you healing?
The President telling them he and Israel stood with them against what he called the global emergency of anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism here in Australia is not a Jewish problem. It is an Australian problem and a global problem.
After performing the ritual of placing stones from Jerusalem, a symbol of the weight of loss, President Herzog addressed the media, calling his visit a chance to rebuild troubled relations between Australia and Israel.
I welcome the positive steps already taken by the Australian government to tackle anti-Semitism since the Bondi attack.
With helicopters overhead and snipers on nearby buildings, the President knows this visit is controversial, with Israel accused by a UN commission of genocide and the President of inciting it.
It's the wrong time, it's the wrong person, and he should not be visiting.
But for the survivors and families today,
gives us a sense of pride, some strength, strength to heal, strength to get better.
It's really important. It shows solidarity with the Jewish people.
It was overwhelming. It was just a highly emotional thing.
It meant a tremendous amount to me, to my community, and particularly to the families of the dead.
But thousands are expected to rally this week, furious with a war that has cost over 70,000 Palestinian lives. The President's message to protesters:
these demonstrations, in most cases, what you hear and see, comes to undermine and delegitimize our right, my nation's right, of its mere existence.
Earlier, activists unfurled this banner opposite the Opera House today, reading "Herzog, war criminal." It was quickly removed, as elsewhere 3 protesters were cautioned and 1 was arrested.
President Herzog's security is consuming enormous resources. 500 officers rostered today alone to look after him and to take care of those protests. It will be like this until he leaves.
He has another day of Sydney engagements tomorrow before heading to Canberra Wednesday and Melbourne on Thursday. Chris Reason, 7 News.
A Bayswater grandmother is struggling with serious ill health while being forced to live in government housing that could kill her. The 72-year-old's unit is riddled with black mould and has been for months.
Gai Roberts has lived in her Department of Housing unit for 21 years. A country nurse for most of her adult life, she's a model tenant, but now she needs help.
I've lost, as of yesterday, 12.9 kilos since the end of August last year.
A water leak in July last year created the perfect environment for black mould. Months of inactivity by the Department of Housing has aggravated Gai's medical conditions. What has it been like to live here?
Well, quite frankly, hell on earth. Because if this is what hell's like, well, I'm living it. Honest to God, I'm living it.
Well, you can smell it.
Yes, I know.
It's very strong, isn't it?
Yeah, that is my life. It's all through the house.
Unable to sleep in her own bedroom, Gai airs her folder bed outside during the day, then wheels it into the unit and sleeps in the lounge room at night. Gai gets some respite away from her toxic apartment by calling bingo at her local community centre.
All the fours, 44.
Sometimes she escapes to the nearest shopping centre.
It's only so long you can sit in a coffee shop if you don't drink coffee.
After months of waiting for tests and quotes, Gai's now being told by the department she'll have to move out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Quote, surely you have somewhere else you can go.
And you don't?
No, well, I don't. Not for that length of time.
Shadow Housing Minister David Bolt says Gai Roberts' treatment is outrageous.
The doctor is saying she's ill, she needs to be out of that house, and they need to find her somewhere temporary. I'm sure they've got a place for her. They just need to get their act into gear and move her out.
The Department of Housing insists the mould is confined to one bedroom and it has plans to clean it sometime this month.
I want to be able to have my grandchildren back here. I want to be able to have friends here.
Jeff Parry, 7 News.
Susan Lee could have just days left as Leader of the Opposition after a disastrous new poll sent shockwaves through Liberal ranks. The figures fuelling speculation of a leadership spill as her rival waits for the right moment to strike.
Two leading Liberal women with stinging messages for the woman who leads them.
At this stage, all you are leading us to is not just defeat at the next election, but non-existence.
This is a disaster and something has to change.
Not directly calling for Susan Lee to be challenged this week, but not far off.
I think every Liberal member and senator needs to consider these matters very quickly, this week preferably.
We have to do something different and we have to do it soon because we are running out of time.
One day after the coalition reformed, today's news poll leaving it poleaxed. A primary vote of just 18%, a new record low. Labor 33 and One Nation surging further to 27.
I think they looked at the disunity and the back and forwards and they marked us down.
A challenge from Angus Taylor now appears imminent.
If someone wants to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party, they'll contact their colleagues, they'll say that, and if they're in the executive, they'll step down and do it. No one's done those things.
But soon might. There is a scheduled Liberal Party room meeting tomorrow. But with estimates on and many senators not here, a spill later in the week is the more likely option. From one Conservative...
I'd be lying to you if I said that conversations weren't occurring, but look, at this point in time, I'm not aware of moves for a spill to be pulled on this week.
Will you survive the end of the week?
Nat. Yes, indeed.
But it might require some magic.
If you have a rabbit in your hat, it is time to reach down for that bunny.
Because the hares are running. Liberals didn't think things could get any worse than their disastrous election loss last year, and now they have. Much worse. On these numbers, not a single Liberal would hold a seat in New South Wales or Victoria, and the rest, including in WA, would struggle. The party is at rock bottom, and MPs who had been saying they wanted to give their leader a bit of time to work things out tonight don't. And that means Susan Lee's leadership is now terminal. Tim.